Reid here with Keller Williams, and today on Whidbey Island Living, I've got my friend Jonas going to pop on here and talk a little bit about first-time home buyers. But first, all right, here is Jonas Rosenberg with Summit Funding. How you doing today, Jonas?
Fantastic. Good morning, my friend. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I guess you were out getting a little exercise this morning.
It's crazy. Every morning now, if I miss doing exercise, I don't feel right. But today's was a little extra challenging. We decided to go straight up a hill.
How much elevation was it?
I think they said 1,100 feet. I hope I'm saying
Oh,
that correctly, but yeah, it was quick to it. Normally we do it gradually. This one was, yeah.
okay. Well, good workout. You're ahead of me. Since I came back from Mexico, I've been having a heck of a time getting out in this cold weather exercising. In Mexico, I was doing 5 miles a day every single day.
Were you really just doing the tourist stuff?
Just out walking the neighborhood, walking to the mall, walking. We walked everywhere. It was
Isn't it
fantastic.
crazy how it adds up? Julie and I went to DC, and I think the first day we did 8 miles, and it was just kind of like we didn't even notice it. We were just kind of enjoying just walking around and seeing everything.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing when you got stuff to do, stuff to see. It just kind of happens.
Yes, sir.
And all that exercise is good for us, as you can see by how you're doing. Fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So, first time home buyers. So, Summit Funding and your team are what with Washington State? You guys did what? You're like number one for first time home buyer program.
So we're very honored to say that for our fifth year in a row, we were one of the preferred lenders with the state program. For the fifth year in a row, we did the most volume in the state with the first time homebuyer program. So very proud of teaching the Washington State Housing Finance Commission classes. Very proud that we do them online, so you do not have to leave your house anymore. With everything with COVID, the rules kind of changed a little bit. You don't have to take live, but very active in that program all over the state. Yes, sir.
Okay, and so that program, you have to go through that class in order to qualify for the Washington State, the first time home buyer assistance program.
Yes, sir. So FHA and conventional both require a down payment. The Washington State Housing Finance Commission has programs. It's called the Home Advantage Program. Then it can actually help home buyers come up with the down payment. It's a 0% interest loan, whether they go FHA or they do a conventional loan. If you choose to use this program through the state will help you with your down payment.
Okay, and so what kind of requirements are that? I mean, with the market right now for first time home buyers getting a little bit tougher.
Yes, sir. So basically, the real basic requirements are a 620 credit score if you would like to build a stick built house, or excuse me, if you'd like to buy a stick built house,
Uh-huh.
and a 640 credit score if you would like to get into a manufactured home. Those are the two big ones to there. And Reid, I hope I'm remembering because they just raised it again. I hope I'm remembering correct, but you might have to make less than a household income than $183,000. So that's the second real big one. And make sure you see a lender. I hope I said that number correctly because it used to be 165, but it jumped up. So double check with your lender on that. But those are the two extreme requirements. And on the credit score one, if you are not there, get to your lender because most lenders have programs and simulators and ways that they can help put you on the path to be able to get the credit score where you need to be.
Okay, so getting your, if people have issues with credit, so is that something that you said most lenders have a program to help people build their credit back up?
Yes, a lot of folks that come see me and we tell them, look, please don't just look at your realtor and go, I can't do this or this, I can't afford, I my credit is not where it should be, and not have a plan. Most borrowers that come see me, especially through the class, are just looking for the plan. Jonas, I know I'm at 550. I know I'm at 560. I definitely have a good job, but I made some mistakes in the past. Reid, didn't we all?
Yep. Yep.
And
Most of
and
us
if,
have.
if I mean, I remember back when I was a kid, when I tried to buy my first house, most lenders would have laughed me out of the office. Actually, a lot of them did, until I found one that worked with me, got me going with on the direction I needed to go, and got me to the qualifications that I needed to do to buy a house. If you're willing to put in the work, there's nothing impossible. Reid, the greatest case I ever had. Matter of fact, if she watches this video, a young lady named Rachel actually works with me now. It took her almost a year of working, fighting, twisting, and turning on her credit and on her income. And I believe they are into their second house now. So there's nothing that's impossible. It's just how much work are you willing to put in on what you created, but we can uncreate anything.
Well, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And I know even some people that sometimes have the misconception of what it takes to fix their credit or what they actually need to be able to buy a home. And that's I've had numerous clients that thought they couldn't buy a home, and until they actually sit down with a lender that can look at their credit and look at their income, that really makes a huge difference, because sometimes their credit's not as bad as they think it is, or there's other factors that they can buy a home. So
You know,
that's really important too.
it's crazy to me, my friend, how many people walk into my office going, "Oh, Jonas, this is terrible." And then when we pull it, I'm like, "What's so terrible about it?" We're popping good numbers, or what they thought may still be on there or could be on there is not. So please, I always call it the stick your head in the sand theory. Please don't stick your head in the sand. And if you do get negative news or we do have a blemish, don't leave the lender's office until you have a plan to create that blemish. Because and I have to say 99% of the time, because there's always that 1% that just can't be fixed because somebody buried themselves too hard, but there's always an option even to fix those. 99% of the time you will have that plan. The question is, are you going to follow the plan?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So putting together a plan is always super important, especially, in life, not just in this. I mean, buying a home is a super important financial accomplishment and working towards your future. But in life in general, having a plan, I find way too many people just kind of take a day at a time and react to life as it happens to them, instead of having a plan to work towards.
Reid, it's really funny. You mentioned that we went on this hike this morning, and it was a hill. It was literally straight up like this. And I'm not in the best shape yet, but I'm working on it. And my buddy just kept saying, Jonas, just take it in small steps. And it was funny. I started thinking about my first time homebuyers as I'm doing this. Too many people want to just climb up that hill and they get frustrated and they quit because it's too hard. But if they would just take it in small steps, Reid, think about the borrowers that you and I've helped over the years that
Yep.
came to us with X, Y, and Z problem. And if they faced all three problems, they would have quit because it just would have been too much. But if they just take it in small steps and make little accomplishments as they go, they're going to work themselves up the hill. And I know that's a silly analogy because of what I did this morning, but I was thinking about it and relating it all the way up that hill. Is a lot of these first time homebuyers, if they just take it in small steps, or the small bites theory, you could eat an elephant if you just do it in small bites.
Exactly. That was the exact analogy I was thinking of. That elephant. It's hard to eat them in one big bite unless you got a hell of a big mouth.
Well, I do, Reid. As you've known me for now for going on 7 years, I do, my friend.
Oh, well, I think, yeah, that great. It's a great analogy. I mean, yeah, you got to take things in small steps, work with a plan to get to where you're going. So aside from the state first time home buyer program, are there some other programs out there to help people with getting started in their first home?
Absolutely. And Reid, where you're at, please, guys, do not have the misconception that there is a better program than the VA for first time homebuyers if you're VA qualified. A lot of folks try to get creative or do other things. Hear me again, especially on Whidbey Island. If you are VA qualified, please do not look at anything else until you have those options in your hand. The way I say it all the time is the VA does a lot of things that people can complain about, but the home buying process and the VA loans, they absolutely do right. So if you are military, former military, and you do have the eligibility, which once again, get to a lender as soon as possible to find out that you have the
Yep.
eligibility. The VA programs for first time homebuyers are amazing. The other ones, Reid, is I don't want people to ever make the mistake that they need $1 billion for down payment and closing costs. Conventional has the first time homebuyer programs also, which is only 3% down. So if you do not want to look at borrowing the state's money, because Reid, remember, it's the state rate. So you always want to look at those interest rates because nothing in life is free, is it, Reid?
Not that I've found.
So when you look, when everybody's going, well, Jonas, how can they give you a 0% loan? Guys, look at their interest rates. They are a tick higher than FHA and conventional. The reason for that is they're loaning you the money for the down payment, so they're going to raise their rates just a little bit. So their margin covers their monies and what they're loaning to you. So you always want to get to a lender because there are 4 or 5 options that can be presented to you and your situation, depending on your monies, depending on your credit, and depending on what your family's needs are.
Okay. Well, that sounds awesome. So, what percentage of your clients that you work with at Summit Funding are first time home buyers, would you say?
So, Reid, I got to be completely honest with you. My whole marketing plan and everything, I think I've told you my story before, but 22 years ago, I bought my first house and I lost it in foreclosure. I was alpha male. I was man. Hear me roar. I was not going to listen to anybody. And I did every single thing wrong that I possibly could have. So my whole business model for me has been focusing on the first time home buyers because at the end of the day, if I can make sure somebody doesn't fall in the same hole that I did, I would love to share that. Now, the Summit funding model, which we are all over the state of Washington, we have offices from Whidbey Island all the way to Spokane. We do a wonderful mixture of all the regular programs, conventional, government programs, and otherwise. Typically, there isn't too many programs that we don't have or could not find a home for because if we don't, we'll do it in house. We can find broker channels that do work. But for my group, we are probably well over 50% in first time home buyers, if not into 60 and 70%, because it's where I keep my focus at. Now, please don't mistake that we won't help second or uptime buyers. It's just I put a lot of my focus into this program.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, you gotta concentrate your efforts in one place, just like a home buyer needs to concentrate on making that plan to buy their home. And in your business, you got to make a plan to build your business, and that's a great way to narrow it down, niche into it.
Thank you. It's like I told my wife when I started this. I was silly. I did not get any education when I bought my house. I really didn't put my heart into it. And as you know me, I don't do much in life without passion. So when I started this business, it was going to be, look, this is where I want to spend my time. And countless families have come in and seen me and did not use me. And that's the other part at the end of the day is if I can educate and they do find something that's better for them somewhere else, more power to them. As long as they get the house at the end of the day, that's exactly what makes me happy and I've done my job.
Yeah. Well, and that's a big part of the whole real estate, business. I mean, from your perspective and for mine, is educating people on, you know, the entire process. That's a huge part of what I do. Is what does that process look like to get from, hey, go talk to somebody like Jonas to get pre-approved, and to get get yourself in line to be pre-approved, so you can qualify to finding that home, having a home inspection, making sure you're getting what you're paying for, and to the day when I get to hand you keys, which is the best part of the whole process.
And Reid, you said the most important thing that we talked about so far in that last sentence. Guys, if you're sitting out there and watching this and seeing a mega realtor like Reid sitting on the screen and sitting somebody like me on the screen, and you're trying to decide who to go talk to first, it's not Reid. Now, please let me explain what I just said. Here's the problem, guys. Reid would love to put you in the car and take you and show you houses. Reid would love to take you inside the house, but if you don't have and make sure this is extremely important, the pre-approval letter in your hand. Pre-qualified sounds very sexy, but it's not the pre-approval letter. So you can call
Right.
the lender, you can give them all your information, and you can get what's called pre-qualified. But the problem is, I figured out over my oh my gosh, how many years is this now? 9-year career is, and I mean this in the utmost respect, sometimes borrowers are not altogether truthful on the phone, or they don't tell us the whole story. So pre-qualified does not work for Reid when he wants to write an offer.
Right.
What you want to do is get to your lender and get a pre-approval letter, then walk into Reid and say, hey, look what I got. Can we go look at houses? Now Reid 100% knows he's not going to break your heart, because the worst thing in Reid's world is when you get to a house, you find the one you love, and he turns around and goes, okay, where's your letter? And you go, what's that?
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. You got to go in. You got to be prepared. You got to get your ducks in a row before you start looking for houses, and that is the number one thing. Because I mean, it's like somebody coming to buy your used car and going, "You're selling for $5,000," and they show up and go, "Let me go take that for a drive," and they come back and say, "Oh, I got $500." It just doesn't go anywhere. So yeah,
And
that's when
a
because
lot
we
of times you are qualified, but if you haven't brought all your paperwork in and done the process and got everything's done, Reid's sitting there going, okay, great. There's 3 other families that have made offers, but I know you're the
right.
most qualified. Let's make an offer. And you're going, but I haven't gone and seen a lender yet. You could lose out on the home on your dreams. So, absolutely, guys, if you're watching this and trying to figure out how to get started, get to a lender, call Reid, say, hey, Reid, I'm going to head down to blankety blank bank. I'm going to absolutely have that appointment. Can I make an appointment with you tomorrow? Because now we will know exactly what I qualify for. And that's the other part is Reid is the kind of realtor that does not want to show you a home that's $100,000 more than you can afford. And it's not worth his time or yours if your budget is, let's say, $3,500 a month and he's showing you houses for 45. So get your budgets and everything in order with your lender, then walk in and go, Reid, we are absolutely ready. Here's what I can afford.
Yeah, and that's what you mentioned about the other offers. Everybody's seeing stuff in the media about the real estate market slowing down, but I got to tell you that I'm doing this every day, and we're still seeing multiple offers on houses. The ones that are priced right. I've sold several recently with multiple offers. I made an offer last week on a house that had multiple offers, which unfortunately we didn't get that one. So it's not a thing of the past. We still have a huge housing shortage. Yep, interest rates are up there, and they have pushed a few people out of the market, but there's just not that many houses for sale. So there are people out there that are qualified, are pre-approved, and they're finding those houses. And like I said, we're still seeing multiple offers on quite a few of them. So you
I'm
definitely want to
sitting in
have
my
all your ducks in a row and know what you're doing before you go out looking, so that you can make a wise decision for yourself at looking at those houses.
I'm
Yeah.
sitting in my Tri Cities market, Reid, and the last 3 contracts that I've gotten in were multiple offer situations. So you're absolutely correct. We're seeing it on both sides of the state. Not what it was a year ago, But at the same time, we're definitely seeing multiple offers starting to creep in. And both you and I know in another couple months, once open house season kicks off, it's really going to start happening again.
Yeah, yeah. If you're looking for a house, this is the time to get pre-approved and
Great.
get your feet wet and start looking, because part of that home buying process also is looking to see what's available and looking at what isn't going to work for you and what is going to work for you, and before because you're likely not going to find the perfect house our first time out. So knowing the neighborhoods, knowing what you're looking for, knowing what your minimums are. Everybody should have a list of 3 things that are just deal breakers. I have to have at least 3 bedrooms. I have to have a fenced yard. Whatever those things are, you should have 3 things that are absolute deal breakers. It's like this; these are hard and fast. There's always hey, it would be really nice if it has a nice fancy kitchen, but as long as the kitchen works, I can live with it. But you got to pick those things, and I give people a piece of paper and have them write those down, what those deal breakers are. Because once you start looking and there's not as much stuff out on the market as people want to think is out there, that fits in your parameters. I mean, today here on Whidbey Island, there's 133,000 homes for sale on the whole island, but less than 50 of them are under 600,000. So,
Wow.
and once you get under 400,000, there's not a whole bunch. I looked yesterday I had somebody looking under 300,000. There are 5 properties on the island. One is a single wide mobile home. I wouldn't put my worst enemy in. And the rest of them are condos and in Oak Harbor. And outside of that, that's it. So, and first time home buyers are typically looking in that under 500,000, under 400,000 price range. So you really
So,
want to
Reid,
be prepared.
can we talk about my biggest problem with first time home buyers?
Sure.
What do you tell a first time home buyer that says, Reid, what should I do with closing costs? Closing costs are always the conversation I have in my office, and I'm sure the conversation to you. So I would love for you to start off on your side. When you have somebody in your office that's going, Reid, I'm should I save for the closing costs? Can I negotiate it with the seller? What advice do you give?
We can negotiate. I mean, obviously, coming in, if they're in a position where they have the closing cost, that is way better. We are, as the market has shifted a little bit, we are able to get some closing costs so we can put into the contract as in part of your financing that, in the contract, we tell the seller, hey, we're going to get a VA loan or whatever kind of loan it is. And we can ask them to pay some of those closing costs. A couple thousand, 5,000 to $8,000 that will take what you're putting out of pocket down to. It's possible to take it down to nothing. Um, it's a serious negotiating factor. It depends, if you get into those multiple offer situations, it's a lot more difficult. One technique that we use is to actually offer over the asking price or over the price you think you want to pay for the house, to give the seller that money, and then they're rebating that back to you. But it's a tougher thing to do now as housing values have come down a little bit. So we got to be really careful. And in that case, you have more flexibility with homes that have been sitting on the market a little while. But the reason they're sitting on the market for a little while is because they're overpriced or there's something wrong with them. So yeah, it's more doable than it was a year and a half ago. But it still can be a tough conversation to have with as far as negotiating it. I can have the conversation with the buyer all day long of what we can do, but getting it accomplished, just like purchasing for not for first time home buyers, but people that are upsizing and they're going to sell their home and they need to be contingent to make the offer on the house contingent on the sale of their house. That is something that has been really difficult to do the last few years. We're getting back where we are doing those, but once again, if you're looking at that house that's priced low and has 4 other offers on it, that's a tough sale to make. So yeah. So Jonas, anything else you'd like to throw in here?
Guys, just well, the big thing is stay patient. We are definitely, I think I agree with Reid. We're starting to see the market turn a little bit. We absolutely know about the interest rates. They are definitely night and day from what they were here 3 years ago. When we saw the boom, we saw them as low as 3.5, possibly into the threes. Now the average interest rate is in the sevens, possibly into the high sixes. What goes up must come down. Remember, I said that, guys. Once again, what goes up must come down. So the last big thing that I want you to do before you leave your lender's office, have a plan on when you can refinance
That would
if that's something you are interested in doing, because here's what's going to happen when you close your first time house. Reid is going to work with the title company and they're going to do what's called recording your paperwork with the county. When you record, it becomes public record. Now, let me explain what that means. Your new address and your phone number get recorded, which means every Tom, Dick, and Harry lender from all across the country will be able to send you mail or be able to put you on the robocall going, hey, when the rates come down a quarter, it's time to call the Johnsons. Bam, 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 bam. It's time to refinance. Guys, be very careful. These folks, I'm sure, are very nice, but they don't know you and they don't know your situation. And what they see is a paycheck at the end of the day. Make sure you are actively talking to your lender a lot and your realtor of, hey, guys, here's my situation. I might be being deployed. I might be moving. I might have this, that, or the other. Should I refinance? That's a big question, guys, because if you're not going to be in that house long, or if this is just a temporary assignment and we're moving on to the next city, be careful. Those folks from around the country may or may not have your best interest in mind, and they may not be asking you how long you're going to be in the home. Your lender that you went through the battle of closing your home with will stay communicating with you, will be talking to Reid, your realtor, and saying, hey, what do you think about the Johnsons? Hey, what do you think about this situation? It's going to cost them X, Y, and Z, but it's going to save them X, Y, and Z. Where are they? Where somebody from outside the country or somebody who got your phone number and address is just going to be going, hey, the rates have come down a half. You can save $100, but we're not telling you right now it's going to cost you seven, and it's going to take you back to the original 30 years that you signed. So as these phone calls and mailers come in, it's going to look very sexy to do so. Pick up the phone and call Reid. Pick up the phone and call your lender and say, hey, I got these letters. Can I come down and talk about it? Because Reid, we may be upsizing next year, or we may be getting deployed and have to sell the house, or we may be X, Y, and Z. Make sure that you go back to your real estate professional. Make sure you go back to your lender and say, hey, guys, you did a really good job. Now, do you do refinances? Yes, we do. And if Reid hasn't picked up the phone and called you, and guys, if I haven't picked up the phone and called you, I like money. Let me hear you say that again. I like money. There is a reason why Reid hasn't called you and a reason why I haven't called you. And the reason probably is that it's not a good situation and we are not here to hurt you. So just remember I said that, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there are a lot of those term predatory lender. They're very aggressive lenders, and there are and some of those fees
I
can be
don't
ridiculous.
I don't know
Uh,
if I agree with your predatory word, Reid, because I don't think it's predatory. I think it's just a gentleman who's got a nice job that is
that's
sitting and
true.
looking at your list. He sees Reid Schwartz on his list and he is paid to call and go, hey, Mr.
Yeah,
Schwartz, it's a great time to refinance. And he knows nothing about you. So I think we need to be careful and not scare people per se. Just know that I'm going to be sitting in a bullpen going, hey, Reid, it's Jonas over at Blankety Blank Mortgage Company. And I would like to talk about refinancing because it looks like they've come down a half. guys, have a plan because those phone calls are going to come in. And what Reid and I would really like you to do is go, thank you so much,
Yeah.
and pick up the phone and call Reid and go, hey, Reid, I got this phone call. Should I call Jonas yet? Because they do look like they get out. Make sure you're always talking to your realtor and your lender after you close, because we know your situations and we're always talking. We want to put you in the best situation possible.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Jonas. Well, I know you have a day to get to, and I've got a house to go show. So I think we're going to wrap this thing
Good
up.
luck.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And
Thank you very much for having me, buddy. I really, really appreciate doing this and have loved doing this with you over the years.
oh, this has been awesome. All right. Well, we will probably do one or two more, I imagine.
You know where to find me. Thank you so much. And next time I expect that pizza. That's all I'm saying.
You know, if you actually look at my background on my door there, see, there's a
I wonder what that was.
Hot Rock Pizza sign.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Well, I got to get some use out of them. I mean, don't do anything with it now. But all right, Jonas, will you get out and enjoy the beautiful sunny weather I'm sure you have over there in Tri-Cities?
I will. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you.
All right, take care. Bye.
Bye.
And for everybody, if you're looking for contact information on Jonas, I will put that in the notes here for the show. And I hope everybody has a fantastic Whidbey Island day. We'll see you next week.